This is the second offering of the Native American Children's Training Forum Guidance Webinar. We are doing 2 of these webinars live for the folks who are part of the NACTF project. This is the 6th year of this project. It's funded by a grant from California Office of Emergency Services, otherwise known as Cal-OES. And we do believe this will be the last year of the project. This year is focusing a lot on evaluation and making sure that we have everything online tailored for usage by anybody in the field and anybody within the tribal communities. And we are still building a little bit of content. The content after this ends will really be more about links and resources that are available in other spots, while this will remain live and available, but we may not be adding too much more to it. So just a little heads up on what we're dealing with in the final year. So the webinar itself will provide an introduction to the program, a little bit of an overview of our goals and objectives, the responsibilities and expectations of NIJC as the program administrator, and the responsibilities and expectations of the project and hub sites, a little bit of information about site reporting, which is a little bit more than last year, and an overview of the Moodle classroom. And then we'll close it out with questions and answers. So as I said, this program is entering its 6th year, and over the past 5 years, NIJC has worked with 18 project sites, and that work entails entering into a partnership agreement with NIJC as the administrator of the NACTF program. And then we look at what those sites are addressing with respect to technology needs or IT needs. And this program is interesting. It has really 2 layers. The first is addressing those technology needs at different sites, but also then developing educational resources for each of the sites to use or to administer, or for them to develop their own content and add to the project classroom. So it's a lot of distance learning opportunities. We did a needs assessment early on and found that the folks who are interested in the distance learning opportunities had different ideas about concepts that they would like to see available in that classroom. The program itself focuses on agencies that serve at-risk Native children, so they can be tribal or non-tribal. The bulk of our agencies are all tribal, but they may have partnerships with non-tribal agencies. In addition to those 18 sites, or actually as part of those 18 sites, there are 3 regional hub sites, and those 3 hub sites had a little bit more intensive work and more requirements in their agreement with NIJC, and they are to provide remote training, web conferencing, a local classroom environment, or work group meetings in each of their regions. The purpose of the NACTF program is to assess and improve telecommunications, information technology, and training capacity of tribes, tribal organizations, and tribal agencies in California that provide services to Native American children who've been abused and or neglected or at risk. There are 6 program objectives for 2018, or our year 6 of the program, and for the 18 sites, they need to enroll 2 or more staff members in one of the online courses and to complete that course and evaluate that course. They are to conduct 3 training sessions for 25 or more participants. They're to revise and expand, we are to revise and expand 1 short-term and 1 mid-term existing evaluation tool. And as I had told you earlier, the year 6 is going to be spent on evaluating in a little bit more detail what we've done procedurally and content-wise with this project. So we've had evaluations internally and evaluations built into the online courses, but we'll be working with a third-party. I am totally blanking their acronym. Carol, what is their acronym? CPS?
It's Northwest Professional Consortium, NPC Research.
I must have dyslexia of the brain. Okay, the 4th objective is to develop an NACTF guidance webinar, conduct the 2 live broadcasts, of which this is the 2nd. The fifth objective is to revise training evaluation surveys and to expand the login credentials and data from those credentials that's captured. So we have more of a student profile. It's been expanded so that we could get a little bit more demographic information for the students who use the online courses. And lastly, to analyze training needs data and to produce a report on the training gaps. And the training needs data, we've been distributing that survey for all years of the project, and to produce the report on the training gaps will be to produce a report on what we know exists out there, what we've developed, and whatever is left over in terms of unmet training needs. So you may see that survey circulate one more time as we try and capture more topics that may have relevancy to more modern issues or more recent issues that have come up in social work or in the courts. So on this slide, it's a map of the NACTF sites and hubs. The ones with the stars are the ones that comprise all of the 18 sites. Then there are 3 that have check marks next to them, and that's the ICF program that's in Ukiah, the Coyote Valley program. I'm sorry, that check mark fell a little bit on each of those, sorry. We'll revise this slide before it's posted. So the first one is Tolowa, that's the first hub site. The second one is the American Indian Child Resource Center in Oakland, that's the second site. And the third one is the Indian Health Council in Valley Center. Sorry, one more thing before we leave that slide is this slide is also located on the program website, and you can see up there in the top left it has a Google map. Click here. So you see a little bit of information for each location that you click on. So just in case you're interested in any of those sites or maybe working further with those sites in their own regions or want to refer them out, it's a good tool to be able to see where they're located, what kind of resources they can offer, and the point of contact information on who to contact to include them in your network. So the 3 regional hub sites, as we mentioned earlier, are Tolowa at Smith River, American Indian Child Resource Center in Oakland, and Indian Health Council in Valley Center. And the description that we provided earlier of the hub sites is that they are within the agreement of the MOU. They will provide an environment to conduct training or to have meetings, so they do understand that. Of course, you have to work with their calendars, and the technology that each receive differs just a little bit. So you always want to contact them to see their availability and what sort of equipment they may have. We did focus quite a bit on improving their IT, so that included updating computers and software. I know with one of the sites that I've been to already that there are some meeting equipment that is very, I like it. It's very nice to me. They have TVs and things that they can use for what would be webinars, but also live discussions through different sites. So it's kind of a distance learning within a distance learning, because you can run it from their classroom and have it spread throughout the network. The project website is located on or within the NIJC.org website. The easiest way to find it is to type it in directly or to go under our projects tab and scroll down to the NACTF paragraph. I will caution you that when you use the link, the capitalization here counts. So you have to capitalize NACTF and then .html. The HTML can be lowercase. What you're seeing is just the menu on the left side and the home page on the right side. When you scroll down through each one of the pages, for example, the regional hub sites, you will see that map that we showed earlier. It is a great place to go for announcements as well as any of the online trainings. We add in the resources that we've developed under this program, but we also have links to other resources that are not embedded within our classroom. The announcements include announcements for grants that are relevant to this area or this field involving child welfare. There's a mailing list if you want to have other folks sign up or get things directly sent to you. The resources and the funding are searchable databases where you can key in different words or even find very specific resources. We maintain that as we go, and I expect that we'll continue to maintain that after the program itself ends. So it's got a lot of good information. If you're in need at all or know other programs that are in need, definitely have them check there. The online courses are numerous, and I won't go into the detail of each course unless you stop me as we go through. Some of these may be familiar to you if you've already been through the program or a part of the program. But this is done in order. So some of these have been built upon, and others have been well-established trainings that have been the same. So, for example, the Tribal Star program on the Indian Child Welfare Act was provided by Tribal Star. The recordings are of Tribal Star presenters. We have an ICWA 101 course that has had layers built into it, especially as the new regs came online and as we started to implement those regs. So you'll have some information that began 5 years ago when the program began, and then you'll have some more recent information that deals with the changes from the regs. There's an ICWA Qualified Expert Witness program. We've had 2 different trainers present this information, so there's some layers in there as well. We had one that was done by a judge and one that was done by an advocate, so their approaches differ just slightly but are very comprehensive in both presentations. We have a presentation on active efforts, and this I want to just reiterate that all of these trainings were trainings that were derived from the needs assessment survey that we did. We had a pretty good list of needs that the folks in the field wanted to have addressed, and we still have some that really need to have more content developed, but we will take that information with us, and we'll be doing some further work with Department of Social Services in California, and hopefully we'll be able to do 1 or 2 of those topics as we move forward. The next topics are mandatory reporting and courtroom decorum. Those are singular topics. I believe they're both a couple of years old, so we'll keep updating mandatory reporting as necessary. The Computer Literacy Program and Child Abuse Investigative Protocols. The Computer Literacy Program is new, it is brief, it refers out to tools that people may use, particularly for the training room, but also how to understand some of the safety issues associated with social media applications and programs. The Child Abuse Investigative Protocols is based upon a curriculum that we developed that's on child abuse, and it includes investigative, medical, and law enforcement protocols that we think are very, very good tools. Even if you're in a tribal community where you may not be doing this kind of work, it will help you when those investigations are going on to make sure that they're collecting information and data from a victim or victim's family in a way that doesn't require them to have to come back and do additional questions, making sure that they follow a line of questions that stay within the same sort of category. But check those out. Those are good ones. Okay. The goals of the program, as we said, is to provide the sites with the training curricula, but also to deal with the IT needs that each one of the sites are dealing with. So the training events that we require as part of the MOUs are an effort to try and increase the accessibility of training sessions for people who are working with Native American children who are at risk. And the program serves to encourage the sites to use the online curriculum or the online classroom to engage the regional hub sites so that it actually establishes and expands their network and they can work with one another. What we believe about the distance training, or distance learning, is that it has a tendency to be difficult for people to want to participate in. We're always multitasking and looking at other issues while we're trying to learn online, and it can become a bit cumbersome. But when you encourage the communication between the sites and other folks within their areas, we're seeing positive partnerships develop. And then in addition to that, our MOU keeps us in communication with each one of the sites so that we can continue to measure what their needs are, make sure that the IT is doing the job that we hope that it'll do, and that if they come up with any other distance learning needs or other training needs, that they can be referred out to other resources or included in future projects as we continue to work on this area. Okay, so the objectives for this final year are to renew the MOU with all 18 sites, have one or more staff members from each site participate in one of the 2 guidance webinars. This is the second. We will post it because I do believe we've still got a few sites that we haven't had participation from. Have 2 or more staff members enroll in an online course, complete and evaluate that course by December 31st, 2018, and then complete a progress report, an annual progress report by December 1st, 2018. And we have facilitated the progress report by putting it into a survey format. So when you see that survey link come around, please respond to it, and we'll send out some encouraging and supportive emails to make sure that you don't miss the deadline. So under this last year, NIJC has very specific responsibilities. Some of these align with prior years, and that is that we serve as the administrator and implement the NACTF program, and that we coordinate with an expert panel to guide the project and communicate needs from the field to the project. We are issuing a monthly e-blast that includes announcements and updates and information about the courses and trainings available through the project, and that we provide NACTF course moderation and office hours for participants to answer questions and provide TA. And that includes making available this type of webinar service, making sure that if there are materials that are needed, that we gather all those materials, making sure that the online courses are working and available to everyone that they have participating in their classroom. And the hope will be that we continue to generate additional classroom trainings of various lengths and content. For the hub sites and the project sites, once we renew the MOU, then we can continue with the technical support under the program. We're asking that each site assign a liaison to coordinate with us to identify any maintenance and sustainability issues, and we'll hopefully be able to include that in future proposals. Each site, again, has to have 1 or more of their staff members participate in the guidance webinar, and 2 or more of their staff members enroll in the online course, complete it, and evaluate it. There's another page here for site responsibilities, and that is to respond to any document information requests. And this is to help the NPC to gather information. And we've sent out some emails making sure that you know that they may be calling you. I'm sure that they have scheduled calls with most of the sites, but they'll continue to work on that until December, I believe. We, again, are asking that you complete that annual report survey, and that if you have any requests for technical assistance, that you let us know as soon as you can. Even if you're not positive when it will happen, as soon as we can add it to our calendar, we'll make sure that we can respond in a timely manner and make sure that you have everything that you need. So this first bullet here I'd already addressed, which is participate in all the evaluation activities, and at this point that has been phone calls and probably additional surveys, and that's inclusive of that annual report. And then perform reporting of the objectives and outcomes as required in the MOU, and we're very careful with the data. Any data that you share with us will only be shared in aggregate with Cal OES and with NPC. And any raw data that has any identifying information is held to be confidential. What we are looking for, however, is a way to evaluate the project's impact on whether or not your organization is assisted by or hindered by the project. If it's been assisted, we'd love to know in what ways it may have helped you. That includes items like you see here on the screen, improvement of case management or number of children or adults served. If there's been a hindrance at all, we'd like to hear about that. This program, like I said, wasn't expected to go this long. It was because we'd really established the need for it. We do believe there is an ongoing need, and it will continue into the future. But the money for this project came from a static source, and in order for it to move forward in the future, they'll need data to support that. Okay, so the site reporting, it will cover the period of January 1 to December 31st. We're asking that the progress report is completed by December 1st, so you may have to estimate your activities for the remainder of December, but we're kind of asking everybody to rein in your activities by December 1st so you can report on what you've done. There's a link here on the screen, but you'll have this information in the PowerPoint that will get you to the progress report, and you should be able to go in and add information at any time. It is live. The accountability slide is just to show what we've agreed to in the MOUs, and it's really covering a lot of the information that we've already covered in prior slides, but it's also to sort of compare that what we're asking the sites to do is within the scope of what we want to have done with this project. And so if it feels like a little burdensome to have to deal with the reporting, we just want to make sure that you understand that the data that you report is going to support the future of the program. When it may be several years down the road, it may not be us administering it, but Cal OES will need the data that you can provide. Okay, Moodle and online classrooms. I guess the most important thing here on this title slide is where to locate it. So you go to NIJConline.org, and at that point you will come to the NIJC online classroom. And there are several tools that are located in the classroom. The first is a tour or a walkthrough of Moodle. The second is that you'll land in the NIJC Moodle room. There are YouTube videos that show you how to log in and provide documentation on Moodle. And then just within this past year, Moodle's created a mobile app for phones that operate off of Google or operate off of Apple operating systems. Google operating systems. Who owns that?
Android.
Android, thank you. I think Google owns everything, but Android phones and Apple phones. So just to sort of give you an idea of what you'll see, all of the courses are free. All the NIJC Moodle courses, including other topics, are free. The only thing that you need to access the Moodle course is to have a username and a password. You get that by emailing Barry at NIJC.org, and that's BARRY@NIJC.org. He'll provide you with the your username will be your email, but he'll provide you with a password, and that will get you into the courses. Additional courses outside of NACTF, you just need to let him know what you want. But once you're at the actual menu, you'll see the list of what's available. So when you pull up the NACTF project, this is what you'll see on the main menu. It gives you a summary of what is there, and it provides you with a short list of some of the courses. And when you click on those links, it'll expand and it'll show you a little more. A lot of the courses are designed to include multimedia. So once you log in, and you may want to make sure that everything else is up to date, that your browser is up to date, that any of your video players are up to date, and that you have access the links on your computer. If you have any blocks at all due to any sort of antivirus software, we can try and help you work through that, but you may need support from your IT folks or permission from your IT folks to do that. So the first thing that it'll ask you is to update your profile, and this is related to the earlier statement that we are expanding the data collection on the profile to get more demographics about each of the students. And again, we will report that in aggregate. It'll go to NPC so they can see the scope and the reach of the courses and compare it to the folks at the hub sites and who may be using the tools. So on these steps, it'll show you in the upper right-hand corner next to your name and your profile picture. You click on the down arrow. It displays a drop-down menu. You click your profile, and then you scroll down to user details and select edit. And at that point, it will give you fields that you can then fill out to expand your profile. On the mobile app, once you install it, and it has the sites here to install it, you can type the address for the NIJC Moodle Room, nijconline.org, and then click Connect. And once you're logged in, it will keep you logged in, and you won't have to log in each time. Christy Garcia has developed some very useful tools. She developed a frequently asked questions page that is located on the NIJC.org NACTF.html project site. And the frequently asked questions are questions that are related to applying for the IT, being a site, what's available in the online Moodle course, and it really covers a lot of the information about the project. Once the project started, a lot of our communication was strictly with the site and their points of contact. And as people learned more about the project and they started to gain access to the courses, we had some questions come up about how it could be used, when it could be used. It's very flexible. We don't have as many courses that have 24/7 monitoring, so it's all asynchronous. We don't have folks that are always live there, but we can establish that so that it can be monitored or administered with a live person. Okay, you can tell my voice is just about losing it, so we're at the questions and answers slide. Are there any questions out there, or are there any answers out there, more importantly?
This is Megan. No, as of right now, I'm okay from Southern Indian, Health Council.
No problem. Okay, I think hearing nobody ask any questions, just know that if anything comes up, you can email Kelly and we'll pull up that slide at nijc@aol.com or Christy at christyg@nijc.org. And if you have any questions at all, just let us know, and we'd be happy to respond and include any questions that you may bring up on the frequently asked questions page as well. So we really appreciate you participating, and we'll close out guidance webinar number 2 and let you get back to all of your good work.